Don't you find it strange that Nintendo doesn't have a mainline mini golf series? I mean, it's not like they haven't tried before. Mario Golf for the N64 included a mini golf mode alongside its main golfing campaign, and while it was a perfectly okay mini golf game, it's just that. It was a perfectly okay mini golf game. Games like Mario Strikers are evidence that there's so much potential for Mario-themed sports games, but for me, a lot of the Mario Golf games always feel like an afterthought, stuck between casual party gaming experiences and trying to be actual sports sims. But it doesn't have to be this way. I think Nintendo mini golf games could be just as much fun and mayhem as a few rounds of Mario Kart, which brings us to our old pal, basically just a pink golf ball alien, Kirby. You see, back in the days of the SNES, Kirby's Dream Course gave us exactly what I'm trying to describe. An imaginative mini golf game with interesting co-op, a variety of enemies, unique power-ups, and a mix of casual and tactical gameplay. It's inspired by golf, but it doesn't allow itself to be restricted by the fact that it is golf. The only problem is that Kirby's Dream Course released in 1995, and we haven't had a single Kirby's Dream Course game since. And somehow it feels like Nintendo knows this and is mocking me, because we keep coming so tantalizingly close to a new Kirby golf game. We've had Kirby's Tilt and Tumble, Kirby Canvas Curse, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, and finally the most egregious slap to my face yet. Kirby's Dream Buffet. Do you know what a buffet has? Lots of courses. Dream courses! Now you probably know where this is going, because on this channel where there's a game-sized cookie-cutter shaped hole, I can't help but fill it with cookie dough. So let's open up Unity and make a crappy Kirby mini golf game, because Nintendo is too busy making brilliant Kirby games that people actually want to play. If you told 5-year-old me with my green Game Boy and scuffed copy of Kirby's Dream Land 2 that one day I'd model my own 3D Kirby, I'd have thought you'd been bonked over the head by King DDD himself. But after rewatching the intro to Kirby's Adventure 100 times or so, I was fairly confident that I could pull it off. So despite struggling a bit with Kirby's feet, it didn't take too long for me to finish my model. And this is when I learnt a very valuable lesson. You see, not only are spheres not flat, they also have no respect for my feelings. I soon discovered the horror of texture stretching, and when combined with my dodgy alignment skills, it all resulted in Kirby turning into a terrifying Mario blobfish. I could be biased, but after a few more iterations, I did manage to make my Kirby cute enough that I think it could melt anyone's heart, which meant it was time to set my Kirby loose in the magical world of Unity. Now, every good game dev knows that all games should start with a solid prototype, but I'm not a good game dev, so I got distracted by the fact that I could make Kirby bounce around all over the place using Unity's physics engine, which meant everything quickly got out of hand. And all these bouncing Kirbys got me thinking, I could be productive and start making the mini golf game, or I could just make a giant Kirby ball pit. This might legitimately be the best thing I've ever done. I never anticipated the Kirbys would ripple around like water molecules in an ocean of raw positivity. But wait, can you hear that? Yep, I think Kirby is officially my favorite thing ever. Now that that's out of our systems, let's actually make a game. I got busy creating a system that draws a line between Kirby and the mouse cursor, and I managed to apply a force to propel our little Kirby based on the direction and distance of the mouse in relation to Kirby. It's pretty wild to think that with this mechanic working, that's 80% of the gameplay done. Or so I thought. I soon discovered that adding a camera to fast-moving objects could be pretty vomit-inducing, and trying to make Kirby come to a complete stop was more difficult than I thought it would be. But thanks to this nifty mush I call a brain, I managed to solve these problems by adding thresholds to Kirby's velocity. So I moved on to making a warp star for each level. From Kirby's Dream Land to Kirby in the Forgotten Land, there's something about Kirby flying around on a warp star that just fills me with a sense of joyous freedom. And I figured making a warp star would be a good opportunity to push myself to start adding little details into my games that bring a sense of polish and charm. I think this is what really elevates a game from indie shovelware to Nintendo secret sauce. And Kirby games are lathered in secret sauce. Little details like snorkels appearing on Kirby when you jump into water in Kirby Superstar just bring this cohesive breathing magic to the game. So inspired to make my own snorkel polish, I put a lot of time into creating warp, intro, and outro animations that would make my cold black heart experience a quarter of an emotion. I'm no animator, so it's a bit rough around the edges, but I'm shocked at how much of a difference it makes. And with the warp star done, we have the beginnings of a game loop, so let's move on to some level design. For my levels, I wanted to combine the checkerboard minimalism of Kirby's Dream Course with the platforming detail and charm of more traditional Kirby titles. And as I started working on my assets, I had a bit of a revelation. simulation. You see, my workflow up to this point was to model and move each asset one by one from Blender to Unity, which often resulted in my games looking more like a child's macaroni craft project. But I finally realized that I could just be making everything in Blender first to achieve a cohesive design. It's shocking that I didn't think of this sooner, but it's better late than never, I guess. And now that my levels were more cohesive, I wanted to sprinkle some spice onto my game by adding some enemies. I love the enemies in Kirby games. They're either so adorable that calling them enemies is borderline offensive, or they're like some kind of ethereal Cthulhu nightmare that feasts on the souls of the damned. I decided to stick to the cute options and created my own version of Kabus, which are like Deku Tree sandcastles, and Gordos, which are basically just spiky stress balls. I figure the Kabus could act as moving obstacles and the Gordos could make Kirby stick to them, to add a bit more challenge and strategy to the game. So we have gameplay, assets, and enemies. You know, at this point I was fairly confident that I could start wrapping things up and call my little Kirby mini golf game done. But then I got this weird feeling in my stomach, like when you've forgotten someone's birthday or you have appendicitis. And then it hit me. I'd made a Kirby game without any cake, which is ridiculous because cake is basically the main plot in every Kirby game. So after quickly baking a delicious slice up in Blender, my game was finally complete, which means I guess it's time for the final reveal. I'd love to know what you think of my Kirby mini golf game in the comments below, and let me know what other features and enemies you think should be added to the game. As always, if you enjoyed this video, there's plenty of other game making videos on the channel that you can check out. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all soon.